these ideas all the
Get all
time.
these ideas. She comes over here.
They just synthesized the dinosaur out of a chicken egg last week. It's true.
Do you want to
I hope that's true. That's awesome.
No, that was a joke article, Tim.
The hook is they did
Was
it.
that a joke article?
That was a joke, guys. I'm serious, like that was a joke.
You'll never know until we see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi everybody. My name is Eugene Capon. I didn't forget my last name. I just wanted to say it extra long. I do a lot of stuff. I'm a motion designer. I'm a VFX artist. A lot of people know me as a video influencer. I make a lot of YouTube videos, and I've been making YouTube videos for, probably 6 years now. I'm on my third YouTube channel. It just hit 1,000 subscribers. My Twitter account is over 16, and I have over 1 million views between all the projects that I've been on. So that's awesome. I recently changed my my title from a VR enthusiast to a filmmaker as of today because I released a movie online, but we premiered it at Seattle Fashion Week this past weekend. I'm also the CEO over at Ensoverse. I just got to talk at the Shark Tank at Immerse, which is like a big VR conference. That was awesome. I used to be the art director at Press Play Consulting, which was a YouTube consulting company, and I graduated with a BA in liberal arts. Yeah. It was a focus in YouTube studies. So, choices. That is me. I had gained a little bit of weight, and my mom said I looked like Jonah Hill. So I was like, what's the fastest way to lose weight? And I just took the bottom half off of me. No, so something I like to tell myself every single day is I'm not smarter, faster, or stronger than anybody. I just work really, really hard to beat the odds. And that has led to some just amazing opportunities. I also got a movie publicly funded once, and then my computer crashed and we lost all the footage. Yeah, I owe backers a lot of stuff now. So let's actually talk about VR, not about me. So there's a bunch of different avenues of VR, but the main three are virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Virtual reality is what you actually see out here, where you put on a headset and you're transported to another location. The location is completely fake, and you might be able to interact with it. That doesn't actually matter whether or not it is the thing needed for VR. Augmented reality is usually an overlay over the real world, and you can usually give some sort of feedback with it. So a lot of people associate like Pokemon Go with AR, but it's not, because it doesn't actually interact with the real world. It's just on a gyroscope on the phone. The mixed reality is, has anybody played Ingress?
Yes.
Yeah, so Ingress would be a really good example. It's basically you get visual feedback to create a world around you that is based on a number of different things, including GPS. So there are a ton of different headsets right now, and I really like to break everything up into like 3 different categories. So the magenta, you have Google Cardboard, Google Daydream, which hasn't actually come out yet, and Gear VR. Those are headsets that actually require a cell phone to be a VR unit. Next, you have the bigger, more expensive ones that actually require some sort of computer. So you have your HTC Vive, your Oculus Rift, your PlayStation VR. That just came out this week, right? Yeah. Okay. And then last, you have independent headsets like the Microsoft HoloLens. There are a few tips I'd like to give to anybody who... So after today, who is actually thinking about jumping in and creating VR content? Raise your hands. Oh, who's not?
That's right.
Yeah, I would show you the door. Yeah. So a couple of tips that I would love to give you guys. First, give an adjustment period inside of your 360 video, or I'm assuming everybody here is, for the most part, going to be jumping on a 360 video, given After Effects is probably the main focus for you guys. So when you do your projects, have a 30-second minimum intro just to like guide them into the world that you're creating. Have some sort of gaze line so they know where the landscape and ground is. I like to think without it, somebody might end up getting kind of like vertigo. Kind of imagine yourself being like a scuba diver halfway in the ocean and you're not able to tell where the ceiling and where the floor is. And, you know, that could be a cause to make somebody really, really sick. Design your experience to have more than one focal point. If all of your if everything's happening in the same direction inside of your VR experience, that's boring. You need to step up your game. Kids 16 and younger will naturally look around, and this is actually because adults are trained to stare just forward when they're driving, and that actually kind of takes that wonderment away when you first get into VR. According to Google, 3 meters is an ideal for eye strain inside of UI.
Oh, actually, interesting thing. My sister's 30, doesn't drive.
Yeah.
She looks around all over the place.
That's awesome. That just like proves my point.
Yeah. So.
Social media platforms, more and more are becoming 360 enabled or VR enabled. Right now, the big two right now are Facebook for 360 photos, and then 360 video for YouTube. And that's actually what I released my film on. Spatial audio doesn't really work in YouTube 360 unless you have some sort of specific player. Say you like have a team and build a player instead of like Unity or Unreal, then you'd be able to have a system that allowed for that.
So browsers don't?
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube does. You have to have a special render of the codec.
And then if you want to expand your skills, I highly recommend learning a game engine. I myself am learning Unity 3D, but if you want to bypass code, Unreal actually has a coding system where you don't actually have to code called Blueprint. A little bit about my process. I tend to go through a sketchbook and coffee, and then I'll go to Illustrator and Photoshop on Red Bull, and then After Effects, and a lot of praying that my video won't crash. I recently switched over to PNG sequences because things were just crashing that much, and I had more, but you know, procrastination. So Journey. Journey has been this huge project that I took on. Tim, where are you? Had told me about Seattle Fashion. Tim over there had told me about Seattle Fashion Week, and I was like, "When is it?" He goes, "Oh, it's like a month away." I'm like, "I'm totally gonna just build something for it." And I remember like going to this like pitch night that he had, and then getting home and just like getting out my whiteboard and just like drawing everything out. And I was like, okay, what can I get done between now and probably when they'll need to see it? And I was just so excited to do it. And I just remember like getting all the animation stuff put into place, and then I went to go render, and then I got it like 60 hours later. Yeah. And that's all as like a PNG sequence. Then it takes an additional like 2 hours to compile everything into what you see here. Yeah, so I'm only going to play a very small piece of it. This is a 9-minute film. I'm going to go ahead and take this video and put it on the After Effects Seattle group so you guys can go see it. And if you guys want to like jump over to the page and like review it, like get really critical about it, I mean, I completely oh, sorry.
Not me.
Yeah.
So Eugene, just a quick question.
Yeah.
An element for
Yeah. So like the main skybox that you're seeing, the little galaxy and stuff, I painted this huge JPEG file in Photoshop. All the graphics inside of the little ship That's all Illustrator. That was brought into After Effects, then animated. So if you look around, it's really render intensive, or it's a huge file. Hold on, we just, yeah.
You're in 4K.
Yeah. I was like, Adobe can handle it. No, okay. So all the 3D elements actually come from the Motion Design Pack number 2 from Video Copilot's Element 3D. And then to actually set up your camera rig, you need Skybox from Mettle. I believe Chris is a sponsor of ours, right? Yep. Yeah. So like everything you would need outside of After Effects, you can actually win through the prizes here. So that's fun. I mean, you can take a chance or you can like go buy it.
Except for Illustrator.
Yeah. Well, Illustrator you can't. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna put this up on the.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks. I do want to leave you guys with some references prior to jumping into After Effects. Mettle.com, that's where you can get that VR plugin. They have a bunch of like other freebie plugins for After Effects. I highly recommend. Video Copilot, if you're still exploring After Effects, I mean, that's where a lot of us started off at. Also, they have a variety of plugins that allow you to bring in 3D models outside of a Cinema 4D. Unity 3D is a great beginning game engine. I recommend it, especially if you happen to also be gifted on the coder side. C# is the language that actually runs it. Cineversity for 3D modeling. Capon Design TV, if you happen to self-promotion. The Seattle VR Slack channel. Eva was talking about that earlier. I highly recommend it. How many people are in that Slack channel now?
I think like 600.
600?
Yeah. Not all active, but we've been getting a lot more conversation in there lately.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Road to VR, Upload VR are two wonderful VR mags. Unreal Engine, another game engine, and then if you're looking to jump into like web VR, A-Frame is a wonderful resource. So you can actually build virtual reality experiences inside of your web browser. And from what I've heard and what I've seen, the code kind of reads like HTML and CSS. So it's not overly complicated to learn. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the basics as far as bringing in Element 3D and assets and Skybox for Mettle. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you are going to want to get a new composition. To have a video that actually exports as a metal setup, you actually need a square composition. I like to go with 1000 by 1000. I'm going to lock this. Something to think about if you're doing VR is to have 60 frames a second just as like a standard. And I'm just going to go with like 10 seconds. Cool. All right. From there, we're going to go ahead and introduce Element 3D. Just start with by getting a new solid black layer. And dropping element on it. Cool. When you bring up your scene setup, I just remembered a lot of the stuff that
I don't have much design on Adobe.
yeah, you don't. So we couldn't find a plugin for my computer, so this is actually Topher's. So So I'm missing a bunch of stuff, but you know we'll.
Can.
Just use
We'll fake it. So we're just gonna bring in, I don't know. I heard a paint can. I heard a rock. What else, guys? What looks good?
A chess set.
Chess set. Dead Planet.
A head
I
crab.
don't know, this
That's not
can
a
of
head
something.
crab.
Okay.
I thought that was a head crab.
Pokeball, not a soda can.
Yeah, we don't have a Pokeball. That'd be cool if we had a Pokeball, though. So from there, we're just gonna grab some of these objects, move them around. I think this chessboard looks good over here. Rock. Yep, just in pink can. It's just yeah, cool. Okay, jumping back, we have all these objects in a single composition. The next thing we're gonna do is, you know what, I'm gonna rotate them a little bit, or I'm gonna give them some sort of rotation. So they're all together. So I'm just gonna, yeah. And maybe change the Y rotation as well. So there's actually a lot of different things you can do as far as animating it. If you happen to pull in a OBJ file that actually has baked animation, there is a way to get that animation to run on a loop inside of Element 3D. The next thing we need to do, once we have a little bit of animation, oh look, it's all animating now. That's awesome. Next thing we want to do is, it's actually a script. It's not a plugin. So File, go to your script, and Skybox Creator.
Are you gonna allow?
Okay. Okay. Let's try it one more time. All right. So when you run the script, you're going to end up with this little prompt box. It'll tell you what you want to actually turn into a ectorectangular map. What it's going to do is set up 6 different cameras, all in different directions. It's going to take those views, connect them into a cubic map, and then take that cubic map and transfer it over into an ectorectangular map. So, yeah, I want to use a 2-node camera. We are using 3D controls, center camera. I'm using a 3D plugin, and then you just hit generate. And what it's going to do is set up all those cameras. Then it's going to break it up into our maps. So if I go over here and grab the Skybox output, you can see all these different compositions for the cameras that were set up. Now, this is our ectorectangular map. If we go ahead and just scrub through it, we'll start getting that animation going. It is a little bit.
And so if you change the animation, it would automatically update.
Yeah.
just
So
those cameras?
yeah. So basically, if you go back to the first composition, you make your changes and then you hit refresh. It will update in the final composition. Now, if you take this, if you render this out into a video, what you can do is you can Google for a metadata injector tool. And that will give it the information it needs to be shown onto a social network site like YouTube, and it'll actually take it and it'll project it as a sphere around you.
Do you have a recommendation for a metadata injector?
Google just happens to have a standard one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you just Google metadata injector, the first one that pops up should be the right one.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You output these as PNG sequences.
Yeah, I tend to export everything as a PNG sequence now, just because my files were just getting so labor intensive for my computer that I kept shutting down, and then be like, oh my god, I just lost 30 hours of work. So PNG sequences, they're absolutely lifesavers. This gentleman right here was the one who told me to do it. I think he just got tired of me complaining online, to be honest. So thank you for that. Okay, any questions?
How long was your development cycle from your initial, like, I'm going to do this, and come up with a concept, to when you had to finish it?
This particular project, it took me 3 weeks. And then I had to wait on my music guy, Adrian Ladelia, to actually write and compose all the music. If anybody needs music, I recommend him. He sent me over a sample for my movie before it was even done, and I just bawled. Like, I straight up cried. Like, it's so beautiful. There was somebody else over here?
Yeah, if I just wanted like an animated sort of matte painting behind all of this, like what would be the process for that?
Okay.
Instead of having like 3D objects.
Okay, so what you can do is you can actually get your own Skybox, and that's actually what I did. Like, on my video where you see like the stars and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so basically with the ectorectangular map, I actually painted an ectorectangular map, and I just had to test and refine it to make sure it actually matched. And then once I was popping in all the After Effects compositions into a single timeline, I just put it behind it. Larry?
What was your resolution output?
4K.
Did you use Premiere to re-stitch those together, or did you use different tools?
No. So
Not
from
Premiere.
so actually from After Effects, I exported my entire PNG sequences, but I opened up Premiere to drop in the PNG sequences to compile everything, and that also allowed me to add my music, and if I needed to like color correct anything, I knew I'd want to go to just like one general place to be able to do that, and that was my solution.
You could take it directly out of After Effects.
Oh yeah. You can preload your PNG sequence directly back into After Effects, and then compile it straight from there. I just wanted to be able to play like Adobe Premiere has a little bit better playback than After Effects does, and so I wanted to leverage that when I was doing my music.
What are you compiling your PNG sequence as? What's your final output?
So what I actually do is I export everything as like a 4K resolution, and then I just go match sequence inside of Adobe Premiere. That way it handles all the math for me.
What is the final file name? Like what is the?
It's whatever your the final file name is whatever you decide to name your sequence as.
Okay.
So like codec doesn't need to be an MOV or an MP4?
I did a H.264 codec. No, just for I wanted to keep the quality, but compression size is definitely going to work in my favor. Who wants to try more VR stuff? Okay, thanks for having me, guys.